You're listening to The Village Thrives, a podcast about parenting and community. If you like this episode, be sure to hit like and subscribe. Go on then, you know you want to. Welcome to The Village Thrives. I'm Donna Rucco, joined by my lovely guests as usual. I'm so blessed to have Bradley Hasmeyer here and Christina Guerrero. What's up, guys?
Yo, yo, yo.
Hi, friends.
Today's topic is screen time. As I'm looking at you guys on a screen.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Yeah, exactly. And we were texting about it on our phones.
Yes, exactly. And I also just had to clarify, is this our screen time or are we talking about our children's screen time?
I think yes. Yes
and yes.
Because they go hand in hand.
They do,
but
don't they?
Look, we're not here to shame you. For our listeners, this is not a how you should be doing it or shouldn't be doing it. This is one of those topics that is like very individualized to families, to situations, to scenarios. I want to say that at the top so people aren't just like, nope, not trying to like hear how bad I'm doing. I'm killing my kid's brain by letting them watch screens. Neither me nor any of the people here want to bring that. Today, we're just talking about our experience. I think Donna's going to drop some stats. We're going to talk about the reality of being parents in this culture. Am I right with that?
Isn't it crazy that we have to do that like preface because it's such, when it comes to parenting, it's probably like breastfeeding and screen time.
Wow.
Right? Those are like two, you've got, talk about a divided world.
Yeah. How do you do it? Do you cover up or do you expose as you're breastfeeding?
Can you do it in public? Is it only for your house? What if you don't breastfeed? You're using formula instead?
Oh, I thought we were still talking about screen time.
No, we're still talking about
Do you just keep it at
Cover
home? Do you bring it out into the world? Because sometimes if there's people that I'm with that I'm like, don't take your iPads to dinner.
They'll judge
and then
you.
there's other people, who I'm like, oh yeah, make sure you bring your iPads to dinner.
Yeah, you don't need to listen to what they're saying.
Yeah. And there's so many different ways of doing it, and we're going to really dive into all of that for the next 50 minutes or so, possibly an hour, depends if we really push it. I think we could probably start off by kind of looking at how screen time was for us when we were younger, because I don't know about you, but for me, screen time was the TV. There was no screens in terms of like mobile phones, especially when I was really little. Cell phones, iPads. There were computers, obviously, but we weren't watching content on computers. It was like what people worked on, and left them at work. Right. They would be at work. They'd be in the office. We didn't even have like a computer at home growing up until I was probably a teenager. And then we started getting a mobile phone, but it was a flip phone. So there was a little screen, a little screen on it, but not with all the amount, not a computer. It wasn't a mini computer, but just going back.
Yeah, we are of the, I think everybody here, right? We're all in our 40s. So we all grew up in like 80s and 90s trying to, our screens was the TV screen. If you were lucky, you were or knew somebody who had a Nintendo or maybe an Atari, in which then your TV screen became your video game screen.
Yeah,
that's true.
So that's the level of, that's the generation we're talking about here.
You just reminded me. Yeah, I'd go to my friend's house. My mum's friend Sue and her son Tony had and I don't know what console it was, but it had Pac-Man on it.
Atari? Was that Atari,
it must
Bradley?
Have been yeah.
I think that would be, that'd be early Atari. I remember growing up and we had TI, which was Texas Instruments. They went on to make those calculators that your teachers forced you to buy for graphing. And they had like Donkey Kong, which was so simple. Then that became Atari. I'm probably missing some stuff in there, but then that became Nintendo and Sega. Both came out. Sega Genesis. Sega! They both came out around the same time. Sonic the Hedgehog, right? Competing with Mario. These were the big, this is it. There was no Xbox.
Bradley, you're our tech guy, though, because I feel like that probably would have been your jam, right? Like young Bradley would have been
Let me tell you about this moment in my life. I haven't thought about this in so long, but it's so like monumental. All I wanted was an Atari. All I wanted. And finally at Christmas, I must have been like, I don't know, 9 or something. Actually, I think it's younger than that, maybe like 8. Finally, I open up. My parents are like, okay, why don't you open this one first? I opened up and it's Atari Games. And I was like, wait a second. They're like, now open this one. And I was like, oh my God, we hit the lottery. I don't know how it happened. We sold something. My dad got 3 jobs. I don't know what it was. I got an Atari in my PJs. This is not how it happened, but this is how I remember it for a fun story. I'm running down the street in my PJs with my Atari console in hand, and I knock on my friend's door, Lee Goins. Bro, I got an Atari. And right as I say I got an Atari, he's like, I got a Nintendo. And it was like, burr, burr, like
I would think that it would be like the coolest thing ever.
No, that's like being like, I got a bike for my 16th birthday, and your friend's like, I got a BMW. And you're like,
oh, shoot. Oh, got it. Okay.
The Atari had been out a minute, and it was like, it was not the hot thing. And so the fact that we were both at the same time, like, you go first. No, you go. Okay, 1, 2, 3. I got to try Nintendo. And I was like, I'm going to go back home. I'm so done. Trash. Let's play your game, you know?
That feeling
that's a whole nother thing.
Getting the dopamine
hit.
Love
it.
And you haven't even started playing it yet. You've got the dopamine hit from just opening the box. You're like, yes, I've got it.
I know what's to come.
Yeah. I didn't get a computer console until much later. I think I had a Game Boy first. That might have been like in my teenage years. I had a little handheld.
Game Boys were awesome.
I remember my dad having a Commodore 64, I think it was. Does that ring a bell? A Commodore 64? Is that
a car?
A common thing? It sounds like something that's going to take off, doesn't it? It's a Commodore 64.
Sounds like a car or a band.
the Commodores. But just
Commodore 64?
Yeah, Commodore 64.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And
so it's like a real
and
classic kind of console, square screen, big keyboard, and a separate piece that you would slide the games into.
Yeah.
Real classic.
Yeah. I'll have to see if my dad still has that. It would be amazing if it would be an antique now.
Find it. Send it on eBay.
But going back to the TV as my main screen, what I do remember is, and I don't know why it just came to me this morning when I was thinking about this episode. I guess I was preteen, maybe about 10. There was a TV show that me and my cousins, we just wouldn't be allowed to watch. And it was called Grange Hill. And it was about a school. But they were probably like a secondary school, which would probably be middle school to high school. But they were naughty. Like some of the kids were really, like they spoke back to the teachers.
Oh, like Degrassi.
It was, and we weren't allowed to watch it. So that would be the oh gosh, not boundaries, but what I would and wouldn't be able to do. It'd be more what content I couldn't watch as opposed to time. Because we would come home and we'd play after school.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we might watch TV for an hour or so, and then weekends, you know. But it wasn't as, I didn't feel like, I'll have to ask my mum if she felt that at that time she had to monitor my screen time. I don't know. That would have been a good question to ask before this episode to see what maybe our parents could chime in. When you listen to this, guys, if you're a parent who had a child where there was only TVs at that time, not much gaming or what have you. So let's just say the 90s, 80s, 90s. Did you monitor your kids' TV time? That is the question.
Yeah. I don't know that my mom parents in those days monitored anything.
That was the whole latchkey kid generation, at least in America.
I was going to say,
parents weren't monitoring jack.
I can absolutely 1000% say without a doubt that I was a TV kid through and through. I would consider
That's a bit of your story, right? Like how you decided that you wanted to get into that industry, right?
Yes, I love television. I proudly declared that I was a walking TV guide. I knew what was on, when was on, what channel it was on. I was obsessed with television.
Yeah.
And I mean, everything from like, sitcoms and those kinds of things to shows I wasn't allowed to watch. Like, my mom didn't love us watching Three's Company. Do you remember that show, Three's Company?
Yeah.
But, and then soap operas, I'd watch soap operas with my mom. I'd watch novellas. I don't even speak Spanish, but I'd watch novellas with my grandma. I mean, I was raised on television. I loved it. I was obsessed with it. I think there was definitely there was a part of it that was, my mom worked full time. So I remember many summers where, we would go out and play and stuff like that, but we were, 10, 11 years old at home by ourselves. So it's not like we, had activities. It was like, you just stay at home and you start with Wheel of Fortune, No, that was at night. You start with Price is Right. You move into
Oh, yeah, good summer lunch. Yeah.
Jenny Jones and Ricky Lake.
Oh,
then
get
you've
it.
got the soap operas, Young and the Restless, Days of Our Lives, into the afternoon shows like Oprah. You guys, what I'm telling you, I was
Oprah.
TV through and
Girl,
through.
that is crazy. That is hours.
Hours. And I'm going to tell you, I turned out A-okay. And that's how I justify the amount of screen time I give my children.
There you go. I just want Mateo to be as good as me. Here's 6 hours.
So how about you, Bradley? Were you watching a lot of TV as a kid?
No, I think some of that was my parents kind of saying no. Some of it was also just there were tons of kids in my neighborhood. We were always outside playing. I do remember TV in a couple different ways. It was usually a reward. So in the mornings, as long as I got everything done before school, I could watch TV. So that meant I got up earlier so that I could watch Little Rascals. And I would just sit there and watch. I watched it live. I watched Little Rascals live. Yeah. Well, as a 70-year-old man, this is what you.
You would watch reruns of Little Rascals.
Yes. And then I remember Friday nights, TGIF. It was a thing on ABC, and that was like Your Family Matters, Full House, Step by Step was in there. I don't know if Perfect Strangers was that in there with Balky? Yeah. Okay. So TGIF ran a while, and so the Friday nights we would go out, usually go out to eat like I think we talked about this before, like drive through, like Taco Bell or something like that. Grab donuts, come home, and that was like our splurge. We'd watch an hour or something like that.
As a family?
As a family. That was kind of our family night thing for Friday. Yeah. So, and then it would passively be on, but and we'll get into this too. When you look at the market for what was available for kids, this is why Mr. Rogers exploded, because every kid-oriented content was flash, bang, boom, whiz. It was cupcake. There wasn't a whole lot of learning. So Sesame Street was like the first thing that really came on the scene where if your kid is going to be watching TV, they may as well be learning. And so that's when you start getting into your alphabets and colors and socioeconomic individuals, like you bumping into people that you never would have before. And it's set in New York. I remember when I moved to Brooklyn, I was like, this is so cool.
You're just like, where's Big
I'm
Bird?
on Sesame Street. Can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street? Tell me how to get there. So, like I was watching like He-Man, Care Bears, G.I. Joe, like these were the things that really didn't do much for you as a person, but they were just entertainment. And now it's a little bit different, which we'll get into. But in terms of my own experience with TV, that was it.
So it sounds like I was the end of the spectrum.
Oh yeah, we've all known that since early on.
She's on the spectrum.
You barely made the cut. This was just going to be 2 people.
But they're like, but we need the other side.
I would sound probably in between, because I would watch a little bit of TV after school, but the weekends we would have Saturday morning kids shows. I doubt you're
Saturday
familiar
morning
with
cartoons. That's right.
Yeah, but we had these shows. One was called Alive and Kicking. And there was another one, I can't remember what it was called, but Alive and Kicking It. And what was so great about it, I've not seen anything like it since, and you can find them on YouTube. There'd be like 2-hour-long shows, and you'd have 2 or 3 hosts, mainly 2 hosts, and it was a live audience of kids, and then it would be almost a bit like a variety show. They would mix everything in between. So one minute they'd be like, talking about a new band that's come out, and they'd play the new band's video, like the music video, or the band would come into the studio.
I want to host that show as a little kid.
So do I. Let's do it. I've been thinking about this for ages, because I'm like,
that's
for parents,
amazing.
how do you put something on for 2
Maybe that's
hours?
like Disney Channel, maybe that's like Disney Channel, like
but that's a
Mickey
channel.
Mouse Club.
But this was a show.
No,
so
Mickey Mouse Club was a show. Yeah.
Oh, it was? Okay. I thought you meant the channel. I thought you said, okay. So maybe it's...
Mickey Mouse Club early was,
Oh, I never saw that. So I hadn't anything to compare it to. So after this, I'll go and take a look. But it's, they'd introduce like a new band, and you'd see their music video, and then they'd introduce a cartoon, and then they'd have in-studio games. And you get slimed, or you do, something you might see on Nickelodeon, and then you'd go into a little educational piece. It was just
That's so cool.
It constantly kept your attention because you didn't know they'd do a tease as to what's coming up next. I loved it. And so recently I'd found an episode on YouTube and I played it to Easton and I was just like, do you know what's kind of cool? I can trust what he's watching. And I like the fact they incorporated music and art and culture and all these different elements. And it wasn't just one thing, you know? So
Yeah.
you might have a cartoon that's just, it could be He-Man, right? Could be just He-Man. And
Yeah.
then the next clip could be, they had these two comedians. Oh my gosh, what were they called? They had these two comedians get up and do a skit. There'd be a skit in the middle of it. It was just so good. And I'm like, why have they not redone this? Because we need something like this now that's wholesome and nourishing and entertaining.
That's
and
why they
you can
haven't
trust
redone it. So it's
Oh,
wholesome
God.
and nourishing.
Oh my gosh. So yeah. Anyway, well, look, this is the question for now, which is like, how much screen time are kids getting now? How much has changed from what we experienced? We now have more screens than ever, as we kind of discussed at the top of the show. It's not just a TV now. It is an iPad. It is a tablet.
Yeah.
It is a phone.
And you take it everywhere you go.
Everywhere. So there's, TV, apps, games, schoolwork now, even schoolwork. Like Easton's coming home with his Chromebook and he has to do, or if I say he has to do, they recommend. And I guess as a parent, you have a choice as to whether to do it or not. It just means they might fall behind because it's part of their learning. But they have something called Reflex, where it's like 20 minutes, 3 times a week, and it's all like math games, and it helps their math fluency. So I have a choice of like, okay, I don't really want you on a screen, but then you might fall behind. Or I let you do the 20 minutes 3 times a week, which is what I've decided to do. He's doing the 20 minutes 3 times a week, but it's still, now you're bringing a Chromebook home. And then I have to monitor making sure that when he comes off of that, he's now not like, he's now gone on to something else on the computer, which he tends to do. He's like, they've got, it's all, gosh, listen to this. It's supposedly child proof. It's been configurated that it's just Google for children.
There's no such thing.
But do you know what they've done?
There's waterproof, but there's no child proof.
Right. He's a 3rd grader, and I actually did go to the school about this. He learnt, and it doesn't take much, does it? Another kid who just happened to do it, or they've got an older sibling that's like, hey, you can do this. You can go into Google on their Google kid-proof Chromebook from school, and then you just put in Bing in the search, which brings up the Bing search thing, and then you can search anything. He can go on to anything from that. So I've had a conversation with the school because I'm like, did you know that you think it's childproof? But they're smart enough to know that now all these kids know they can just put a new search engine in the search engine and Google anything, which is crazy.
Well, on the one hand, that's crazy. On the other hand, we're raising problem solvers. Can we find a silver lining? We're raising problem solvers. If you want something, if you're determined enough, you can figure it out.
Yeah.
I think there is some credence to that, though. I think you can't, and that's what makes it controversial, I think, is like you can't just across the board say screens are bad, screen time's terrible. It's, but there are some benefits to screen time. There are some positive things that come out of, so that's part of the conversation.
Okay, well, let's just get into it. What do we think? Where do we land on the screen times with our kids?
So for us, as I've just mentioned, Easton has his Chromebook. He's on that 3 times a week for schoolwork. And then he does his homework of an evening. And usually he's normally finished that as I'm preparing dinner. So around 5-ish, he can then, once he's done his homework, watch something on TV. I say no YouTube during the week. So he will have to go to either Disney Plus or Paramount or any of the other platforms, Netflix, and watch a show or a movie on there. At the weekend, he's got a Nintendo Switch. He has an hour of playtime on that if he wants. And then I'll let him watch YouTube. And that's because we're all in the house and he will sit and watch things with Dermot. And I'll be around. If Dermot's not there, I'm monitoring it. He's not just scrolling on YouTube because even with a kid's account. But and then Sunday we normally watch a movie and what have you, and so monitored.
So you're pretty do you find yourself do you think you're pretty regulated? hard
regulated.
rules, like this is what we do.
Yes, and I will, 2 things, there's non-negotiable. He will not take anything into his room, so his, Nintendo Switch doesn't go into his room. He doesn't have a TV in his room, and I'm keeping it like that for as long as possible, even though he's asked. And especially if he goes to a friend's house and they've got a TV in their room, and I'm like, "Nope, no, no, not yet," 'cause he's
Mm-hmm.
he's not gonna be long. He's gonna be a teenager soon, and that's all gonna be a part of it, isn't it? He's gonna wanna be in his room and not want to hang with us. So I'm like, just hang with us as much as we can have you hang with us, you know?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I don't know what will happen when he gets into teenage years. I don't like the idea of him definitely now being in his room on just being away, and that's a thing. I don't want him to think that's a thing for him right now. I want him to be in a communal
Get
environment.
lost in it.
Yeah, and I also, I gave him my old phone. So and this comes out at the weekends as well. On the old phone, I completely wiped it of everything. There's no browser, nothing. He can put game apps. There's games on there. And he can also iMessage and FaceTime, because I've set up his email, family members. So and he gets a kick out of that. It's like, I've got a phone. And other people, have you? And it's like, why can't I FaceTime Nanny? Because Nanny's on an Android. So I'm like, and then I had to break the news to him that he doesn't have a phone number. And then the realization was like, he hasn't got a real phone. You know what I mean? I'm like,
wait a second.
Yeah. This is just a really small iPad.
So he does have that. And again, I won't let him, because he'll go and call his sister and my dad, and he loves doing that. He loves like texting them, a brother,
that communication,
family members. Yeah, it's really nice. And he has the ability to go and do that. And to be honest, because it's such an old phone, it doesn't really hold much of a charge. So we'll have the phone and then the battery's dead already. And he's like, oh, I've got to go and put it on charge.
Nice.
But that's pretty much it for Easton in our household. As for us as the adults and parents, Dermot's on his phone all the time for work, all the time. It's just constant. For myself, I normally have my phone on silent. I use my phone for my meditations, for our podcast, obviously to talk to friends and family. I talk to my mum a lot, FaceTiming or WhatsApp video calling, because she doesn't have an iPhone.
She's on Android.
And then I'll use my phone for like Pinterest. I'll find recipes. I like getting my recipes. And I generally try not, when I'm with Easton, I don't sit there on my phone. Generally, I try.
Good for you.
I do it when everyone's gone to bed, and then I get into bed, and then I'm on the phone for about 30 minutes or so before bed, and I just go in, and I'm like, that's why I don't do
30 minutes.
That's why I don't do it during the day, because you get sucked in, and I don't really do a lot of social media.
You are not productive anymore.
No. So I've just had to have strict boundaries with myself to be productive in other ways. I know that I shouldn't really be definitely not on social and stuff like that. I just know it's not, hasn't been good for me in the past, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah. I feel like the way our habits become their habits. Right. And so, Mateo is 12 years old, and we're pretty lax. We're pretty lax when it comes to screen time, in terms of, watch it while you're having breakfast. There's obviously parental controls and stuff, and I monitor on my own platforms on what he's watching and those kinds of things. And I do an audit on his text messages when he's not looking, which he knows that if his iPad's there, which I own, me and my husband own it, I can grab it whenever I want and do an audit on his text messages. So we're pretty lax when it comes to that. But the other day he was like, I want TikTok. I was like, no, we're not going to do TikTok. We're not going to do Instagram. We're not going to do, these are the hard rules right now, because it's such a slippery slope and it happens so quickly. Like when we gave him text messages, all of a sudden now he's in text threads. And I was like, and now I'm like, monitor it. It just moves so fast. You give an inch and then they take a mile. Oh my gosh, it happens so fast. So I'm like, no.
You said he's doing text messages. Is that the same as what we do with these? Is it the iMessage?
Yes. He doesn't have a phone. He doesn't have a phone.
So it's an iMessage.
No. Yeah, it's exactly the same. But they can all still message each other. And I'm like, you can talk to mom, dad, cousin, aunt, family, obviously. And then you can talk to your friends about schoolwork, because it's just such a slippery slope. And I'm like, I can audit whenever I want.
Yeah.
But the other day he's like, I want TikTok. And I was like, nope, we're not doing TikTok. And he's like, well, to be fair, I said, you can't be on TikTok because it'll, ruin your brain and you'll lose time and you already have, trouble focusing and da-da-da-da-da. And he's like, well, to be fair, Mom, you're always on your phone watching Instagram Reels. Well, do as I say, not as I do. Thank you very much. I pay the bills. Go away.
But there's, I know we're not getting into like cell phones and social media. I think that's a whole nother episode. But there's a guy named Jonathan Haidt. Have you guys read anything from him? Haidt. He wrote a book called The Anxious Generation, and it's basically talking all about how detrimental on like a brain wiring that social media can be, really, especially toward girls for a variety of different reasons, and for boys to some degree as well. Not quite as much, but definitely still on there. And so, to your point, it's such a slippery slope. And I think the argument for me has always been at that point where it's like, well, but you're on your phone. I'm 45. I've got foundations that I've built up that I can handle. And even it's hard to handle as a 45-year-old disciplined adult to be able to say, I need to step away. There is no way that you can hand that to a kid whose brain is as soft as a sponge right now and is willy-nilly and doesn't know what they're doing. From a standpoint of like the detriment. Like if I go down this rabbit hole, I get stuff that's served to me on TikTok and Instagram all the time that's basically porn, and I have to be able to just say no, right?
Right.
Or
but they don't understand.
Or something that I find myself comparing myself to someone else. Like, oh, that guy's a host, but like, look what he's doing with his life. I feel bad about my life now. And then I go down a rabbit hole of like what his world looks like and stuff. And it's like, that's comparison as an adult male who has spent years working on like forming my own who I am. So it's just impossible to compare. So that to me is my response, because I have a 12-year-old. She's in that world too. And again, I don't want to get too deep into this, but this is a part of the screen time discussion. What we've done is a friend of ours down the street has kind of really signed on hard with this Jonathan, with this anxious generation kind of concept, basically creating a space so that there's a number of families that are saying, we're not giving a phone until X, 16, 18, whatever that thing is, so that there's at very least, everyone's got a phone. Nuh-uh, the Hogans don't have phones.
Right.
Yeah, but there's so like there's at least a little bit of that backing, because you can't look, families are different ways. What if mom works full time? What if dad is or isn't around? Like, it's impossible, and your kids are going to interact with someone sitting on the bus with TikTok, right? So it's like you're just you can't not expose them to that. So there has to be digital literacy in there. It's almost like, if you send your kid off to college, they've never had a drop of alcohol. They don't know anything about what alcohol does to the system. It's like, that's kind of setting them up for a real rough night at a Phi Kappa Phi,
You speak from experience, Bradley? No.
Listen, I was a late bloomer, but yes.
Well, I think that's the interesting thing. I remember being like early on, maybe Mateo was in 4th grade, and we went to a class or like, to a parent-teacher conference thing, whatever. All the parents were there, and the mom was like, we are and very self-righteous, we are a no iPad family, and now they're making us have these iPads at school. And the teacher was just like, I respect that. I mean, I rolled my eyes. Just kidding.
You weren't
I rolled my eyes in my mind. No, but she's just like, I understand that and I respect that, but we're heading into a world that they need to understand. Otherwise, they're going to be completely lost. They're going to not have the information, and they're going to fall behind. Like if we decided, no, our kids were not going to, be allowed to watch or to understand the internet, then how are they ever going to, survive in this world? So I think, there's something to be said about moderation, and every family is different. But I mean, to kind of your point, Bradley, if you completely outlaw it and and also I found that going back to your alcohol metaphor, the kids who were completely restricted when they had the opportunity to have some freedom and have some of that independence, went batshit crazy.
Yeah,
right?
we're talking
And
stomach pump at the hospital, guys. Like,
Jeez.
you go from
I'm not saying give your kids booze in high school so you can prepare them. But for that metaphor, it's like
literacy, understanding of it. And I think the why, we try to teach our kids how to think, not what to think.
Yes.
That's good. Oh, I like that. Yeah, I do both. You don't think that way.
Because I said so. That's why.
But it is good. I think a big part of this is giving a little bit of explanation as to why, an age appropriate conversation as to why we minimize screen time, why you don't want to sit on it. Like I've talked to Easton about dopamine addiction. We've started having those conversations of what that means. And that's why we set a timer. I find that a timer is a really good thing to do when I'll even give him like, oh, if he's on the Nintendo Switch, I'm like, oh, you've 45 minutes means you've only got 15 more minutes. So it's not just such a shock that the alarm goes off and it has to stop immediately.
Yep.
So I think that even if like sometimes he might ask for more time and I'm like, take a break first, go walk around, go and do something else, in 15 minutes, then come back. So hopefully, we don't know, do we? We're doing the best we can, but I don't know if that's helping to train to at least know that feeling. I said, I know it sucks. I know that doesn't feel good, but that's part of what video games do. This is what it wants you to stay on there. But if you're able to control that yourself now at this age and self-regulate, that will help you in the future. You know what I mean?
And at this age, is he like comprehending that?
Oh, I don't know. But what I do see is because sometimes he'll get,
you're planting seeds.
Planting seeds. And I see how upset he gets compared to if you're saying, oh, we're going to stop this thing now. He might be upset, but particularly with a video game, this is why I really do monitor this more than anything else, as opposed to any screen time. It would be the video gaming is like number one on the list. And then YouTube is the next one to monitor, and then everything else, But video games, when I see his reaction to stopping or having to stop, it's a full on. He'll get really upset, and I will then go and speak to him and just say, so you see your reaction you're having now? I just want you to understand that this is something we're working on, because this is a natural feeling. This is what's going on is absolutely natural.
Yeah.
It's a natural reaction to have. Yeah. But we also need to work on, okay, what can I do now that I'm having this really, really strong emotion and I don't want to stop, and now I have to stop, and now it's Mum's fault, she's stopping my fun and whatever. What can we do to, and I guess, is this another thing, like replace it? What can we do? I just say, you're feeling that way and that will pass. Take a breath. Breathing is a big thing we do.
Well, another thing is like then we immediately want to replace it with something else that's stimulating, even if it's playing, right? Like, I heard this. I heard a parent. She's like, "Let your kids be bored," and I was like, "Oh, what a concept!" I was bored all the time, which is why I watched tons of TV. But like, let your kids be bored, and we're constantly. I don't know. I find myself doing this, constantly trying to like fix their boredom. Like, okay, well, you're done with the iPad, but now what you can do is go get some. And then I like explain to them what else they can do. And with Sebastian, who is 6, I'm doing this more. Yes. So I have 2 different ages, right? He's like, well, then mommy, play with me. And I'm like, what? You have your best friend, I was like, is your imagination. Go talk to your imagination and you guys come up with something to do. Mommy is on her iPad. Just kidding. Mommy's watching her show.
I only have 6 more hours of Judge Judy, and then we can talk.
No, but I have found that I've constantly tried to. My husband tells me this all the time. He's like, then you're trying to fix it for them. Okay, well now you can go on a play date. Well, now you can go do this. Well, no, let them figure out what they can go do next.
Well, as you're saying that, I remember reading something recently that was talking about how we are a generation, our children are a generation of kids have never had so much attention from the parents. So our parenting is fully involved and just constantly like, how can we, help you with this, and how can we ease the suffering, and how can we, do all these things? And it's actually be bored. And it's hard. And I'll tell you another reason why I think that happens. It's not just because we want to protect our kids and we want to raise children who are wholesome and well-rounded and have lots of different stimuli, right? Whether it's sports or gaming and TV and conversation and sitting around a table with your family, all these different things. We're trying to teach them different ways of being, different levels of experiences. But then sometimes what creeps in as parents, you're like, yes, you can have an extra half an hour because I do want to finish this thing. It's mummy time or daddy time, and so we're using it as a
1000%.
pacifier. That's the I don't even want to say danger, because sometimes we need to give them the pacifier. Absolutely. Otherwise we're going to pull our hair out and we're going to break down. Do you know what I mean? So it's like,
yes,
this is becoming a thing because there are so many screens, different screens. We have lots of different pacifiers. Before it'd be like just a pacifier or just the TV. And
yeah, I sent Mateo off to a play date yesterday. I was like, get off of your iPad and go across the street and go play with your friend. He grabs his iPad and they played their video games together. I'm like, I mean, I guess they're being social about it.
Yeah, I
know. So another thing I didn't mention when I was talking about screen time, another thing that we have done since Easton was a baby was no screens at the table. Dermot and I are on the same page with that.
Intentional.
And to the point now, because my mum, bless her heart, she comes over and is with us for a month or so, a few times throughout the year. She'll be at the table, her phone's in her hand, she's finished her dinner, and she's flicking through. And Easton's like, Nanny, put your phone away. No phones at the table. He's my 8-year-old.
But she's probably does that because that's her. Is that because my mom does that too, and it's because my mom lives alone, and she sometimes her companion is her phone, and so she's used to that.
Definitely.
Yeah. I'm going to give Nanny a pass on that one.
Yeah. Sometimes I think about this, like, what if, from a social standpoint, what if every time you had your phone, it was a book instead? Okay. You would still be just as distracted from your kids. Like if you're out they're playing soccer and you're reading a book, or you're at home and they're like, mommy, 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 and you're reading a book, or they're in their room alone, not playing basketball with their friends, reading a book. The idea of reading a book sounds great and grand and whatever. And sure, there's the dopamine element of screens. And yes, it is a portal to things that you cannot control. And there's those elements. But I also wonder, like, is it really the disconnect that is the problem? Or is it because it's big bag technology?
Ooh.
You know, because it's like, I wonder what and I wonder that for myself too, because it's like, you would almost be applauded. Like, look at Bradley. Every time I see him, he's reading a book. What a smart chap. But it's like, oh, what a terrible dad. Every time I see him, he's on his phone, you know, but it's like, so is it that I'm not engaged, or is it the thing itself because it has a negative connotation?
So people assume,
I don't know.
You're right.
It's because it has a negative connotation.
Yeah. And I think it's easy to assume if someone's got a phone in their hand, a lot of people assume they're on social media, or it's not, they're not reading a book. And also I think that
it is
when you're reading a book, if you know your child's in their room reading a book, you know what the book is, you know the pages that are in the book, whereas on a phone,
there's
or
a
device,
control element to it. Sure,
there's too many options. There's too many. It could go in many different places and different areas. And did you guys ever see the Social Dilemma documentary on Netflix? Did you see that?
I saw about half of it. Yeah. The TLDR is basically like, these are the smartest people in the world who make a ton of money, and their entire objective is to keep you hooked like a drug. And these are people that are way smarter than us, and they know exactly what they're doing. And they kind of are sorry about it, but not totally sorry about it. That's basically what I got from it.
And they won't let their kids go on social media at all because they know what it does. So it was very well done.
I was just going to say, we're also talking about, like, between the three of us, we're just talking about preteens, right? 12, and younger kids. Sebastian's 6 and Easton is 8.
Yes.
Yep. Loic's 5.
And Loic is 5. We haven't even talked about Loic. Oh, I would love to hear your thoughts on where Loic is, because talk to us a little bit about Loic.
So he is autistic, and so his brain works differently, right? So for him, his highs are higher, his lows are lower. And for him specifically, socialization is where we've really seen the need. What I mean by
Mm.
that is like if a kid, takes his Monopoly, well, he's not playing Monopoly, Candyland money or whatever, he wants to flip the table. It's an impulse, it's an explosion. And so a lot of what we work with him on is maintaining he is controlling his emotions, not letting his emotions control him. I mean, for a while I was like, he may not have like any ever good friends. He may have like acquaintances, but he was unable to connect with people because he would say things and like right as it hit his brain, he would say things. And some of that is what's tough is some of that is age appropriate. It's
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
bigger. Right. So
Mm.
that's was like everything like what did you say a neurotypical kid is experiencing, Loic experiences is just higher and lower. And so that chasm, that delta is what creates, he kicks a ball and someone looks at him weird. And then he's like, I hate you. I don't want to be your friend. And you're like, okay. Or he could get physically violent because he's have these explosions inside him and he doesn't know how to process it. And so adults with autism that are in this, autism is a spectrum. So kind of where he is on that spectrum, Kirsten's done such a good job of following people like this on TikTok and Instagram. This is a benefit of social, is like interacting with audiences you never would
Mhm.
be able to even, people from all over the world who can now kind of explain what's going on in those moments. And
Mm.
they're like, it feels like fireworks are going off in me and I don't know what to do. So it could be
Oh.
screaming, it could be punching the ground, it could be fight or flight where I just fully shut down and now you can't like there's a glaze over my eyes. Like there's all these responses. And so anyway, so that is we're working within that. And that's why I kind of started the episode with the idea of like all of our listeners, you're working with different kids at different ages and stages. And, we were like, no one is more pro no screen than the newly married couple with no kids. We will never have screens and screens
1000%.
are terrible and the screen until
Yeah.
you head to the airport and you've got a
Oh, yeah.
12-hour flight and your kid needs something so that you're
Yeah.
not going mad. Donna, you touched on that. And I think that's
Oh,
part of
yeah.
the reality of parenting.
And so where do you find, because of Loic and his
Yeah.
needs, where do you find screen time on the list of how you approach what his needs are?
So for him, it's not just screen time, it's screen content. So we love PBS Kids. Almost everything on PBS Kids is great. It's more than Elmo. You've got Daniel Tiger, which I tell people is like the emotional Sesame Street. You're learning your emotions and how to talk about them and interact with them. That was a huge foundational piece. And then Netflix and Disney Plus have different shows that work well. Obviously, Bluey, we can see a difference in his system. Just like if he eats a bunch of sugar in the morning,
Mm.
Bluey is the opposite. And there even behind the scenes, the people who created Bluey talked about why they chose the blues and the oranges, and there's a lot of pastels because it is a calming type of
Mhm.
situation. So he'll watch that usually in the morning before school. There's 6 minutes, so it's not too fast, not too long, it's not too big of a commitment. So we do that. Now we just got this thing for Christmas called Nex Play, Nex Play, and it's a game cube. It's about this big, and it's all movement oriented. So it's got motion trackers in it, and you can play baseball and basketball, soccer, whatever. You can also be like Ninja Turtles, and you jump, and it tracks you. And so this is kind of our first foray into video games. Video games have always been.
Oh.
He will, much like Easton, and even worse, he will latch on. If he has a Nintendo Switch and he thinks he can just go anywhere with that, there's one at the barber shop. He's stoked about getting his hair cut because he can play. There was one at a friend's house in Tennessee. Those are the only Nintendo Switches he knows exist in the world. And so we know that the way his brain works is it fully focuses in, it's pure dopamine. And there's studies that have shown the correlation in the brain between drugs and video games.
Yeah.
And when you
Yeah.
pull that away,
Yeah.
Mm.
just like your friend in college who is an alcoholic and doesn't want to admit it, and you're at the event and you're like, you probably shouldn't be drinking anymore. And that snap reaction of like, leave me alone, or you don't know, like that is
Yeah.
basically happening in a kid who can't control that. And so there is scientific evidence to that. So for Loic, we do calm videos, we do chill things. We limit the amount of screen time, but we do it in a way kind of like Donna, you were talking about, where we say, okay, before we start this, we do visuals sometimes. It's hard to know, like, it's 24 minutes, you get 8. Like, what does that even mean? So we'll say,
Mm.
Yeah.
this is how long the episode is. You get to hear. and on the screen, I'll point to where that is. So when the playhead gets to there on a video or whatever, right? When it's there, you have to hand me the remote. If you can hand me the remote and we're done and we're going to have dinner, Loic, because of his brain, I think kids work this way well, but especially again, highs are higher, lows are lower. He has to be primed. Here's what's happening. You're going to watch this show. You can watch half of it. Tell me what I just said. I get to watch the show. And I get to watch the show. You can watch the show and you can watch half of it. Tell me what I just said. Watch the show and half of it. Great. So that's right here. We're going to go to here. When it gets here, you're going to hand me the remote. If you can hand me the remote, we can watch more later. If you cannot, because we've had times where he's thrown it, he's hit me with it. No, you can't tell me what to do. You know, these explosions are part of that. And so it's content and it's time. And so some of that too is what you were talking about, Christina, is like, I've tried to become better about when it's over, here's options. You figure it out. You can go to your room. You've got Legos and Magnetiles up there. You can go down the street and talk to Beckett. You can find a book. There's lots of options for you. You know, you figure it out kind of thing.
Mhm.
Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And that's parenting, right? Sometimes it works and
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't. So for him specifically,
it takes a lot of patience anyway to be a parent, and especially to be a parent of a child that needs extra special or extra kind of more patience. You know, you just need to give
yeah, his brain
more of
just
your
works different. So
time.
that means I got to work different.
Right. And I think that even what you just said, the giving him a visual guide. Look at this. If you can give me the remote, I've not heard that before. I think that's brilliant. So that's a great tip or takeaway for any of our listeners, that's
Yeah.
something we could incorporate into our helping to prevent any meltdowns and helping our kids
Yeah.
to be able to. It's almost like you're
He's in
also giving
charge
him
of
the
that.
choice.
If I rip it out of his
Exactly.
hand,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I think when children
It's
have
a
a bit of
control
a
thing sometimes for
choice,
kids.
100%.
yeah, I've noticed that with Easton. If you give him the option, like these are options, you can make your choice, and then once you've made your choice, this is going to be the consequence, or that's going to be the consequence.
Yeah.
I will also say,
Yep.
not everybody has the ability, or the time, or the bandwidth, or the patience to do that. And so
Yeah.
it's like I say, sometimes it's hearing a little tidbit from someone else. So I'm gonna take that and use that myself at some point. But thanks
Yeah.
for sharing
If it
that, because
works,
that's
use it.
valuable. Yeah. What are you going to say, Christina?
And we do love us some Bluey.
Oh,
Bluey's great.
love Bluey. I love Bluey. It's just, I mean, we should just do an episode about Bluey, I think. We'll do a whole episode
Let's
talking
do
about
it.
Bluey. Do you know what I'll do now? I'm just gonna. These are just general guidelines I've found from the American Academy of Pediatrics and WHO.
That's the World Health Organization,
There
by
we
the
go.
way,
Thank you,
not just
Bradley.
Donna being like,
Thank
I don't
you.
know.
Like who?
I don't know
Who is
who.
this?
It's from who? I don't know.
Who question mark?
This guy at Sprouts. I heard him talking about it. So
Under 2
Anyway.
years. Under 2 years, no screen time except video chatting. Okay. I broke that rule. Anyway, ages 2 to 5.
Same. And my child was learning how to speak with a British accent.
because of Peppa Pig.
Peppa Pig.
Because of Peppa Pig.
I knew it. I've
right.
heard of this. Isn't that hilarious?
Yes. Mateo was speaking with a British accent.
it's so
He was
funny.
very, very sophisticated. So, there.
Mummy.
So good.
Bearing in mind, I'm reading these out now, and when Easton was 2, this wasn't even a thing. I don't think I was not aware of any of these screen time guidelines at all. I guess I don't know when these came out, but
Would
again,
it have changed your mind?
Solid
no,
question.
no, and I tell you why. I found an app. It was just geometric shapes, and they would just move across the screen really slowly, like really floaty.
Yeah.
And I would
Yeah.
use that if I was in the car. Remember, I know exactly when I'd use it. If I was in the car and you've had this time, I'm sure. He would have been maybe like a year, 10 months, like young, really young, still an infant or baby. Inconsolable, just couldn't console him at all. And he never had a pacifier, a dummy. We call him a dummy in England. So he never had a pacifier. So it wasn't like you could put something there and he'd suck on it and calm himself. None of that. Didn't suck his thumb, nothing. But this would be the only thing, even after putting some music on, I'd try everything. I'd get out this little, set up this app, put it on, and it'd stop instantly. And just, it's like a hypnosis, I guess. You'd just watch these geometric shapes go across the screen.
That works.
And that was it. And then probably Peppa Pig when he, that was probably on the screen at some point too. So I don't know if that would have changed that at that time, because I found it to be soothing for him. So if he's being soothed, I don't know if I would have changed that.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing about guidelines. And when they say it's this or that, is like, I hear you.
Yeah.
I will take noted. Now
But
let me get back to my kid. Yes, exactly.
Picking and choosing.
Thank you. Good day.
So we'll go on to ages 2 to 5. So 2 to 5, this is Loic, right? Limit to 1 hour a day of high quality programming, Bluey, co-viewing with a parent. Okay. Now we're going to go to ages 6 and above, 6 plus. Aim for under 2 hours a day of recreational screen time, balancing with sleep, physical activity, and schoolwork. That makes sense to me as well. And then it doesn't say anything, but I'm sure that when you get to like teenage years, it's going to go up more, isn't it? I'm sure that teenagers
it's just like Godspeed.
Yeah.
Once you hit teenage years, just good luck.
You have so much that you're worrying about, like just.
So look, this is why we have these conversations, because we want to know why this matters, why are we having this conversation. So studies have shown that there can be, with excessive amounts of screen time, and we're not talking high quality programming here, we're just talking about doom scrolling through YouTube and social media and what have you. It creates socio emotional problems. So it's all linked to like anxiety, depression, aggression, hyperactivity. And as you mentioned earlier, Bradley, especially with girls, with some of the social media things that girls are seeing on their screens, there's a lot of comparison, not feeling enough. Now more than ever, you're seeing really young girls starting to do like surgery and stuff, lots of like cosmetic treatments, quite invasive. So
10-year-olds getting Botox. I mean, it's a thing.
Yeah. So, there's also just like the vicious cycles. Kids with existing problems might turn to screens like gaming to cope. And that can worsen the issue because they're not really, dealing with things. It's okay. It's a way of, again, pacifying. That's all. I'll just keep using the word pacifying, shall I?
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously platforms use features to maximize engagement and making limits harder to enforce, because we know what it's like. Exactly. Again, what you said, you touched on this earlier, Bradley, that as a man in your 40s, you will find it hard, or Christina and I will find it hard as women in our 40s to monitor and to make sure we're having a healthy amount of screen time ourselves. So, we're just doing our best with ourselves, and then we're trying to help our kids as well. But so let's talk about some tips. I know you've got quite a bit of great takeaway throughout the show, but let's kind of round that out and just discuss some of the things that we can do to feel better about screen time. Let's leave on a high note.
I've got 2.
Okay, go on then, Bradley. Take it away.
Okay. Number 1, there is a video game called Pok Pok, P-O-K, and this is an excellent video game. You pay, I think it's not free, but I think it's like $10 for the year or something like that. And it's Montessori based. So it's built by Montessori methodology. And that's a lot of cause and effect, much like your coding would be. And it's very low stakes. There's no first place or second place. It's basically like a way to burn time, but it's done in a really creative way. Again, soft colors. Loic loves it. It's an awesome option for, you're out at dinner again.
What age range would you?
I mean, I find a lot of fun with it, but I would say probably like, let's see, Ellis is 12. So like, you could, it's very simple stuff. It's almost like the geometric patterns. That's what made me think of it, that you were talking about, Donna, where it's just kind of like real chill. And there's a few different, there's a bunch of different games there. But anyway, so Pok Pok is something for our listeners that if they've got a kid kind of in that 3 to 10 age, especially if you've got a kid who's hypersensitive to that type of like explosion, any kind of game that's like first place, second place, third place, or, lots of action and whatever, this is the antithesis of that. So that's really great. Another one is something we instituted a couple years ago, which was, it started off with me and Kirsten both being freelance, needing to set boundaries so that our weekends didn't just look like our weeks. And then all of a sudden we're exhausted because we've had no natural break. Sunday became a no work day. You could call it Sabbath, you could call it, whatever you want. But for us, we created that. Then last year, I kind of invoked, much to what felt like the detriment of my own sanity, no screens from 9 to 4, I think is what it was on Sundays. And so that gives you time in the morning. You can watch something or whatever, and then it goes off, and we're going to get ready and go to church or whatever. I found what it did is it brought Loic and Ellis together to play a whole lot more games, card games, coloring, building forts, stuff that maybe they would be watching something during that time. And so it creates this fasting element that I think is so vital to appreciating it. Because if you just have screen all the
Definitely.
time, like, you have a yacht, after a while you're tired of it, trust me.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
have like whatever you have that you think you always want. And so having that in there, and that's for me and Kirsten too. So our phones are away. We can text or something if we need to, but even if I'm
Are
out
you
playing
reading
with
a
the
book?
kids, I am reading a book now. I am now, but I was bored. I found myself bored. I was like, what am I
Right.
going to do? I'm going to go for a walk. Hey, Kirsten, I'm going to go for like a 15-minute walk. She's like, okay. You find these things that you
Yeah.
wouldn't do. And it's, maybe you start off small, like maybe you don't throw down 9 to 4. Maybe it's like 12 to 3 or something like that, because it's the weekends and you're like, it's the weekends, we're having fun. But I found a lot of value in that. So those are the two that I
Yeah.
wanted
I
to throw.
love that
I
one.
like
I'm gonna
that. It's like
implement that one.
creating a plan. There's a nice plan. It's something that's
Mhm.
scheduled, and
Yeah.
everybody will know that rule, and then it's implementing it, and it becomes your new habit, doesn't it? But you've got to start it, and you've got
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
make it a habit. It's like
And
everyone
then you
knows
can
what to
sit down
expect
at
each
4 o'clock
Sunday.
and watch a movie together. Let's
Yeah,
watch a
Mhm.
family
yeah,
movie at 4. Or, Dad, I finished this thing. I really want to watch something. Okay, 1 hour later,
Yeah.
figure
yeah,
it out
yeah,
between now and
yeah.
then.
I love that.
Yeah.
I do find too when I take the iPads away and the video games and stuff, Mateo at 12 and Sebastian at 6, all of a sudden are using their imagination. I mean, I fear that there's going to be a broken bone at some point, but I hear them laughing and I hear them
Yeah.
playing and I hear them
Oh,
jumping and a little bit of arguing
I
in
love
here,
that.
here and there. But
Right?
yeah, I
Need
do
that.
notice that my children are different humans when and then I also implement the old school, which is because I said so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right? Get off of your iPad. But why? Because I said so.
yeah,
And that's just going to
And
have to be
that's
good
sometimes
enough.
that has to work. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
exactly.
You don't need to give them a whole TED talk. On
Because I said
slide
so.
3, you'll notice your dopamine peaking at an early
Yeah.
age. What? No. Because I said so. Get in the car. Let's go.
yeah. Yeah, I think great tips. I think adding to that, another thing that I hadn't mentioned earlier is I will sometimes use the hour of screen time that he has on a Saturday during the week if he's misbehaving or not doing something he should be doing or not listening. I'm asking him on the third or fourth time to do something. Like, do you know what, Easton? It's fine. I'm just going to take 5 minutes off of your screen time for the weekend.
Yeah, I do that
That
too. That's a
works.
good one.
That works. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. So
It's currency. Whatever is the currency for them. Yep.
yeah, well, you keep doing that. I'm just going to take 10 minutes off your screen time on Saturday. Anyway,
Boomskis.
that's the thing,
Sorry.
right?
It's done.
Sorry, I'm not sorry.
So we just have to take away some of the things that they love doing, just to help them regulate. And yeah, they don't understand, they don't know. We're just working it out ourselves. The speed at which technology is moving these days
Yeah,
is
we
just
also
so
don't
incredible for
know.
us. We're just doing our best. We're doing our darn best. Dagnammit. Yeah, so any other thoughts before we get to our fun part of the show? Not that wasn't fun. Another fun part of the show, the closing. Bradley's like stretching. He's like, this is my time coming up.
I'm ready,
It's my
baby.
He's
time.
ready. He's ready.
So many dad jokes.
Okay. You know what, guys? I'm taking a
Oh,
few
boy.
pregnant pauses with this.
Oh, I was like, wait, is there an announcement you have to make? A pregnant pause? I've never heard that.
No.
A pregnant pause? Is that what
Yeah,
it's?
that's
Have you
like
not
a
heard that
long
before?
pause, a pregnant pause.
A
Yeah.
pregnant pause? I don't know that I've heard that before. Okay, so anyway, go ahead.
Well, we know what it's time for, guys. I was trying to do a bit of a build-up, but
Let's do it.
it's that time in the show when we bring out Bradley and his Dad Joke.
Let's go.
Dun,
Look,
dun.
hopefully you guys have had a lot of takeaway from this show, but if not, we like to leave you with at least one thing, one joke. All right, here we go. There's so many dad jokes, guys. It's hard to I just feel so much pressure, but this one, I kind of like this one. It goes with things I like, baking and winter. So here we go.
Ooh.
What do you put on a gingerbread man's bed? What do you put on a gingerbread bed?
Gingerbread man is not easy to say.
Not. I've already fumbled it twice.
But
we all know what I'm talking about, so it's fine.
Okay, I don't know.
Gingerbread bread. Okay, I don't either.
A sheet pan. Come on.
Oh, a sheet
Sheet
pan.
pan.
Nice.
There you go, guys. You listened to an hour and 8 minutes of us to get that right there.
You're
right
welcome.
There.
That's an hour and 8 minutes. You'll never get back.
Nope.
But that joke will
That'll
last
be with
forever.
you forever. That's
Once we do the edit, there might be
an hour and 7 minutes.
Oh, well, I love you guys.
Friends,
and,
always so fun.
As always, look forward to catching up with you on the next episode. Thanks for listening. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us at The Village Thrives. And remember, parenting isn't meant to be done alone. When the village comes together and supports one another, we thrive. We'll see you next time.
The way you taught me how to love me when I didn't love myself. Way you grant my every wish like a well. The way you took the heat in Texas and cooked it into breakfast, paving the way for me to excel. And there you are back in the kitchen, making my favorites. Doesn't get better than this. Oh, everything is precious when I'm in your presence. You make my world go round and round. Oh, every single second with you's another present. You lift me up when I'm feeling down. Life is so precious when you're around. Everything's precious when you're around.